So in this video, we're going to talk about the 6 side projects that I built in 2024. So the first one is something called a Puppet Assistant. It's essentially just a ChatGPT on your Chrome browser. Obviously, this is a very simple tool that you've probably seen 1,000 times. It's already out there. But really, my main intention was to practice this new habit that I was trying to build in 2024. And that was learning to produce something and learning to publish something on different product sites. Now, a lot of times in most side projects, they remain as, side projects. They don't get anywhere. And so one of the things I wanted to change was to actually start publishing on product directories, like whether that's on the App Store, whether that's on Product Hunt, whether that's on the web store. I wanted to just kick off this new habit that I was building, and the easiest thing that I could build off is to launch a ChatGPT on the Chrome browser. So one of the key takeaways here is that you don't have to have a great idea to start something, start a side project, but really knowing the value of publishing your side projects so that other people can then use it. Because in the next couple projects that I'm going to be talking about is that you'll find that same pattern over and over again. It's like, now if you hate writing cover letters, here's an app that I built the following month. It's called Make Me a Cover Letter. Essentially a tool for streamlining how you build cover letters that is tailored for your resume, tailored for the job description, that sounds more humanly. And the reason why is that there's plenty of videos out there that shows you how to use ChatGPT to generate your cover letters. All it does is just repeat what is already on your resume, which is definitely not something how you want to write cover letters. And so what I did when building this application was actually research how cover letters are properly done. And then I came across this video on YouTube, came from another tech YouTuber, on how he was using ChatGPT to improve his cover letters. And I noticed that he was using multiple layers of prompts that turned out to produce something of a higher quality version than your single prompts. And so I thought, instead of copy pasting these prompts, why don't I just systemize the whole process, and then turning this into an app from there. It's so simple. I remember launching the web application. I even released like a YouTube video showcasing how to use the application, and so I launched it on Product Hunt. I also showcased it on Twitter, and funnily enough, that even got added to an AI directory called There's an AI for That, which brought in thousands of traffic on the app. And I think I've never seen that many people go to one of my side projects. So definitely something worthwhile doing. So the next one is how I accidentally built an AI agent platform. It's called OSX, and which then later named into RGOS. It's essentially a control center for all of your toolings under one umbrella, and then you can interact with them in this platform. And the reason for this is that it was at this time where there were plenty of AI tools for each category of tools that you can possibly find. So there's an AI for calendars, there's an AI for your information databases, where there's fragmentation. And I thought about, okay, why don't we just build a tool that can then combine all these things in one platform where we can then simplify the use case for the user. So the way it works is that you take the API documentation for a specific tooling, and then you train the AI regarding that API documentation. And then once that's done, of course, you provide all of your API keys, all that kind of stuff. And then once it's done, then you can talk to it as normal. And so what it will do is that whenever you ask something, the AI would automatically figure out what you're trying to do. And then it will pinpoint a particular tool that best suits that particular request that you are looking for. And it would then design the API parameters to then call that API endpoint. That's really all it does. I think interesting enough is that the way this project progress is that I initially started off with LangChain because they have a planning and executioner system there. But after using LangChain, I thought LangChain was great at prototyping stuff, but it was very unreliable, inconsistent. It would just hallucinate at every time I try to use it. You can't really customize LangChain to where I wanted to be, like to as far as how I wanted to go. And so I decided to then explore this space much deeply, and then I came across OpenAI's function calling. It was great, but there was one downside for using the function calls, which is that you have to hard code the function for the AI to then call that for you. And so to like combine the best of both worlds, the planning and executioner system on the LangChain, I created an abstracted version of API executioner and then a planning and designer on top of that. I think one of the main features about this app is that you can train the AI with as much API endpoints as you can, and then you can talk. It functions as a normal chat box, like as a normal AI. Obviously, it doesn't come without any downsides. First is parsing the OpenAPI spec. Finding a proper parser for this was very difficult. So I had to create my own version of a parser. And it took a while to just build something that's working for a specific version. In a lot of cases, even when calling each of the functions, the AI doesn't know what each of the function does until you actually describe descriptively on each of the API endpoints. So let's say if you have a documentation that is not well documented, then it's not going to work, because that's where the AI kind of depends its decision making. There's also very limited context window at this time. So in a lot of cases, it will just hallucinate when you're using that system. So that's one of the downsides of using the ChatGPT. Obviously, I could probably like switch to Gemini, which offers you like 1 million tokens, I think. I think that would make it much better, but I don't know. And I think lastly, like something that people forget is just finding the general use case for the application. And really, this is something that I had to really think about, especially when both Humane and Rabbit both came out at that same time that month, and they were getting ragged on by the community, and and really it's because they failed to answer that question of what's the point of this app. And so I really look into the question of what is really the whole point of this application. Why do people even need an API executioner? What is the real use case of combining it on their one platform? And from there, I think I kind of went with the fact that this would be useful for being a task orchestrator or a task executioner, where you give it where you plan a set of tasks, then it would essentially execute those tasks for you on your behalf, kind of thing. Looking back, it's really what I built is essentially an AI agent. But I eventually did not continue working on the application because it wasn't getting enough traction, even despite the fact that I think I even like posted some videos on Twitter, or posting some things on ProductCon. I even created like a waitlist for it, but it wasn't really getting enough traction. So I thought that was a great signal to just not work on the app completely. It's like, now, if you are interested in dreaming of having your own call assistant picking up your phones for you, the next project is something called Proxy Caller. Now, a lot of the viewers would already know this. Proxy Caller was something I built was something I featured on the channel as well. I even created like one of my first few videos. Okay, let's start with the main intention for building the Proxy Caller was that I really hated receiving a phone call from different unknown numbers. When you receive a phone call from an unknown number, it's almost like a gamble whether you're wasting your time to something else or whether that's going to be your next job opportunity. And so I just took on this challenge, and this is why I went straight with this. And honestly, like there was nothing like this. Most call assistants that you find is that they are available in business context, but not as in for personal use case as your own filter as your own screener for any of the callers that you might find or any of the unknown callers that you might encounter. I remember using a provider for this to get it all working. But one of the main issues that I had with this provider is that you weren't able to actually fully customize the AI directly to your own information. You can't control how the call would be transferred, or that's going to be transferred to your phone, or whether you want to like hang up on the call. Since it requires having a second number, it would then require you to redirect your calls to this phone number, and then you have to like rely on the on the AI to then send you a notification after the call has ended before you can then like, I guess, redial them. But there was really no way for you to actually speak to the other person directly. Of course, I showcased the application. I created a video on this. I created how I built the application. I created a shorts for this application, a TikTok version for this application. I created a landing page for this application. And one of the things I managed to get is a good amount of waitlisters. And I think that was the main motivating factor that then resulted in the next iteration of this application. And that is something called the call screener. Now I call it the phone filter. So the phone filter is essentially just a second iteration of the proxy caller, which in this new version, you're not just getting the call assistant, but you're also getting the call screener that you find on the Google Pixel phones. But the main difference here is that you can actually personalize your call assistant. You can control where the call is headed towards. You can listen in live as the AI is speaking directly to the other caller, and then you can then transfer it directly to your phone. And there's plenty of features I could like talk about. As you may have known, like I uploaded a couple videos regarding this application about the features that I've been building that are worth sharing for the channel. So right now, the app is still work in progress. I think I'm about 5 to 7 months in building this app. So one of the main focus that I have for this month at least is to get the first beta users in, getting the first sales in. And so I've been building out the system to then facilitate this process, the payment system, the resource usage management system, the credit balance system, all of these things all tied into making sure that the app doesn't go under. Because I'm telling you, it's like it does add up if you have enough users using the application. And I mean in terms of like the price to like pay for these services. I hope one of the things that you can take away from this is that the technical aspect sometimes is not the biggest issue. It's actually competing in terms of the business side of the application, the marketing side of the application, and even like the pricing and how to compete on that side and how to get your first few users. Because that's kind of where I'm at. The biggest challenge I would say it's like when you get to this point, it's just not knowing what to do next. And that's one of the things where I had to rely on different things like books, YouTube videos, courses, like things like that. It kind of just shows you the clear vision of how to go from building and to actually go from selling it. Because I think I have to say the sales and marketing is anything that's related to sales and marketing is something I've been consuming in the last couple of months, and there are plenty of things I just don't know that I'm only learning now. And yeah, it's definitely valuable if you're a builder to learn about sales and marketing. So last but not least is a fun project for 2024. And well, honestly, I wanted to do something that's a little bit more different from what I typically do. I saw then I was working on the iOS. Now I wanted to intentionally move towards something that's completely brand new to me, which is the AR and VR space. The reason for taking on this challenge was because I had a hard time figuring out where AR or VR could even be used besides just games. So after doing a couple of research here and there, and I saw that the AR was widely used in the military. I think I even remember like seeing Microsoft building an AR for the US military. So that was really, really interesting. And so I wanted to try something that's similar on how we could use the vision and adapt a more militaristic kind of theme into the device. And so I went with something simple, which is like a heads-up display. I think no one was doing this before. I think there were plenty of people who, in the forums at least, who were interested, but there was really no videos regarding this. I came across this video on YouTube where this guy had an item. It had a character figure, and it's fixed directly on the screen. I essentially just turned things around here and there, applied the same things, and applied it to the other sections of the four corners of the application. And it turned out to this. God. And I think that basically sums it up. I think the biggest takeaways for 2024 when building these side projects is that you have to build fast, and you have to learn how to ship and distribute your side projects. In most cases, I said it before, like in most cases, your side projects are sitting in your GitHub profile, but I would urge people to learn the art of getting traffic to your side projects, because I think that's going to snowball into something more businessy like what I'm doing now. The next takeaway is don't be afraid to shift to different platforms. Like I know most people are like in the web, but also try things like the iOS, the mobile version, or even trying things out like the AR. I don't think there's nothing that it's not a waste of time trying things out. I think the next one would be being surrounded by other builders. I think last year, I think around June or July, I was part of a building cohort called Build Space, and I provided a greater accountability for myself as well when building my first iteration for this call screener. I would advise you join those community builders, because that's gonna motivate you to really show up each day, and each week you have to you showcase what you've done, and you can but you don't have to do it on Build Space, because I think Build Space already went out of business. You can even do it on Twitter. Again, this is part of the distribution umbrella and the importance of action marketing and distributing yourself. And then the next one is don't worry about building something complex. As you saw, that my projects for this year became more and more complex as time went on. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a complicated project like the call screener that I built, or an AR side project that I built. You don't have to jump directly into that. You can just take the baby steps, learn something simple, and then build from what you know from there. And I think that's really it. And so in my own journey for building this application, the thing that really helped me validate an idea like the call screener is the waitlist and the showcasing of the product. And here's a video right here that you can find on how I showcase that product. You're gonna learn from that, and thanks for watching.